The Roads to Carbon Neutral, presented by TotalEnergies. Hello, I'm Emma Crosby. Welcome to The Roads to Carbon Neutral. This series examines how countries, companies and communities have set a bold ambition to tackle climate change and achieve net zero carbon emissions by the second half of this century. In this edition, we look at how gas, alongside renewable energy, is part of the solution. Coming up. As the world moves away from hydrocarbons, we examine the key role of natural gas in the energy transition.
Gas has really emerged as the most viable energy option, as it helps reduce CO2 from more polluting coal in combination with renewables.
Reporter Emmeline Nsingi-Nkosi looks at why biogas truly is a fuel solution for the future.
We'll visit Forange Biogas, which turns organic waste into renewable fuel, and look at the global potential of biogas and biomethane.
And we put hydrogen in the spotlight and ask if this clean fuel favoured by NASA is hype or hope.
You know, I always say hydrogen is the best friend of renewable and vice versa.
First, let's examine the current role of gases within the energy sector and those driving forces shaping future use. To help us explore how gas is part of the response to the climate challenge, we gather a host of thought leaders and industry experts. The world has woken up to the realities of climate change and is demanding cleaner energy solutions for the sake of our planet and our health. A tough challenge given the growing size of the world's population and rapid urbanization. Whilst renewable energy solutions like wind and solar offer clean solutions, it'll take an integrated energy mix to meet current and future energy demands. Natural gas and renewable gases have a key role to play as a transitional energy solution on the road to a carbon-neutral future. Not every country has gas reserves or the ability to produce gas, so coal still plays a vital role in electricity generation worldwide. China is the world's largest producer and importer of coal. It consumes 4 billion tonnes each year to support the energy demands of its 1.4 billion citizens. Coal use rose 14% in 2019 across the Southeast Asian nations. And India, the world's third largest energy-consuming country, meets 80% of its energy demand with coal.
Well, we believe that gas has a very strong role to play in the energy transition. It is an excellent substitute to coal in power generation. It emits twice less CO2 than coal in power generation. An excellent complement to renewable that are by nature intermittent and seasonal. Gas is abundant. Reserves are huge.
Gas has really emerged as the most viable energy option. And this is really because gas can be stored at a relatively low cost. And this means we think that gas will really remain key in the heating demand in these countries, as it helps reduce CO2 from more polluting coal in combination with renewables.
A switch to gas as a source of energy in these regions would be a game changer. The energy sector may reduce CO2 emissions by up to 1.2 gigatons if moving from coal to existing gas plants. Most natural gas is found in Russia and the Middle East, making them the world's biggest exporters. Now, the Gulf will continue to play a substantial role in the expansion of global gas supply and demand until at least 2030. But the extraction of shale gas has transformed America into one of the world's top gas producers and has almost allowed it to become energy independent. The four largest global natural gas consumer markets are China, the EU, Japan and South Korea. And with the growing appetite for modern and efficient energy sources, Africa also emerges as a major force in the global gas market. The continent is set to become the third largest source of global gas demand growth by 2040.
We've seen how the blue sky policy in China, aiming at increasing the use of gas at the expenses of coal, has delivered tremendous reduction in air pollution in cities across northern China, including Beijing. And with the world still relying of about 30% of the energy mix to coal, and that 30% producing about 50% of global CO2 emission, natural gas have an incredibly important role to play to reduce CO2 and achieve the energy transition.
But the natural gas industries face tough challenges. Natural gas is a fossil fuel and found deep beneath the Earth's surface and consists mainly of methane. When gas is burnt to turn into electricity, it emits CO2. But when methane is emitted directly, the methane emissions are a 25 times greater threat to global warming than CO2. Natural gas can only play its key role in the energy transition if methane emissions are reduced. The new Biden administration in the United States has committed to take aggressive action on methane. The EU Commission has adopted a methane strategy as part of the European Green Deal, and various governments and non-state actors are working to reduce methane emissions through organisations such as the Global Methane Initiative.
Methane emissions are a significant problem for the natural gas industry. The good news is that we know that they can be reduced very significantly, probably up to 50%, with technologies and processes which don't entail any net cost. In fact, potentially they can be reduced and still give companies a profit. The problem is this is going to involve some complex measurement, reporting and verification obligations.
Scientists have also made it possible to decarbonate gas in 3 different ways: through carbon capture, through the process of producing biogas, or through hydrogen production. The broader gas family is comprised of natural gas as well as man-made renewable gas solutions, biogas and hydrogen. They all play complementary roles in diminishing demand for coal and oil. The production of biogas is made possible by using organic matter, like agricultural residues or food and animal waste. This is a popular solution in Europe, particularly in Germany. Biomethane is a near pure source of methane, produced by upgrading biogas with a much lower carbon intensity than natural gas. But almost all hydrogen is supplied from fossil fuels. Because of this, the production of hydrogen can be responsible for a vast amount of CO2 emissions. Still, clean hydrogen is one of the leading options for storing energy, as it can be added to natural gas and be transported in the gas pipe network.
Gas infrastructure are there. They've been developed for years. They represent millions of kilometers of pipe. And we believe that society needs to capitalize on those infrastructure and to put some decarbonized gas in those infrastructure.
Experts now envisage a future where natural gas, hydrogen and biogas contribute towards an integrated energy mix, creating a more dynamic, affordable and accessible market. Throughout this edition, we'll be taking a deeper look at some of the gas energy solutions which are set to help us transition to a carbon-neutral future. In a similar way to oil, natural gas is formed organically over millions of years from decomposing plant and animal matter built up in thick layers on the Earth's surface and ocean floors. Some of this gas makes it to the surface naturally, while trapped deposits are extracted by drilling down through impermeable rock. These reservoirs are typically located between 1 and 7 kilometers deep. Liquefied natural gas, or LNG, reduces the gas volume by 600 times and makes it possible to transport very large amounts of energy in specially designed ocean tanks and trucks. Once the shipment of LNG reaches its destination at the receiving terminal, it's converted to gas or kept in its liquefied state, ready for use. As a part of its transformation to a broader multi-energy company that's a key player in the energy transition, Total has changed its name to TotalEnergies, reflecting the group's strategy to become a net zero emissions company. As part of this transition, TotalEnergies is investing in LNG as a transitional fuel and is already the world's second largest private LNG player. LNG has been established as the cleanest marine fuel available at scale to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from vessels and to help decarbonise the shipping sector. Switching to LNG helps improve air quality in coastal areas and port cities where the ships are bunkered. Well, to learn more, I'm pleased to be joined by Thomas Maurice, Senior Vice President LNG at TotalEnergies. So what is TotalEnergies' position in the LNG chain?
We are the worldwide number 2 portfolio player, and we are integrated over the full value chain, from upstream to downstream. We have equities in 14 liquefaction plants. We managed more than 20 vessels, and we have 18 million tons of European regas capacities, which allows us to play between the different basins, between production basins and consumption basins.
What's your outlook for LNG and what part will it play in the future energy mix?
LNG has faced a very huge growth in the last years. It has grown by more than 10% between 2015 and 2019. It has continued to grow in the 2020, which was a very particular year with the pandemic, and it should continue to grow by almost 5% in the next decade to reach more than 600 million tonnes per annum.
So how important will innovations in the LNG field be when we think about the future of LNG supply?
We have many axes on which we are working, capturing the native CO2 in the production, designing more efficient processes in our liquefaction plants, and also trying to develop e-drive, electricity drive of our compressors. The compressors machines emit a lot of gases within the process, and by electrifying those processes and putting renewable electricity, it will support the compensation of the emissions of the liquefaction production and the production of LNG.
To enable the global uptake of marine LNG, TotalEnergies has actively invested in LNG bunkering infrastructure in the hubs of Singapore, Rotterdam and Marseille. For the transport sector, a range of gas alternatives will further decarbonise mobility alongside electrification. Major players such as MSC Cruises have embraced LNG as a crucial component in their ongoing journey towards reducing their environmental footprint. The world's third largest cruise company is launching its first of 3 upcoming LNG-powered cruise ships in 2022 and has secured an agreement with TotalEnergies for the supply of 45,000 tonnes per year of LNG at Marseille port. This will reduce emissions from their ships and improve the air quality at their ports of call. Renewable natural gas is a growing market which is also being utilised by the transport sector. It's a clean, affordable and reliable waste-derived fuel alternative. Renewable natural gas represented 17% in Europe and 53% in the United States of all fuel used in natural gas vehicles last year. For road transport, natural gas and renewable natural gas will become more familiar at service stations. Determined to reach its carbon-neutral ambitions, TotalEnergies has accelerated its rollout of natural gas vehicle fuels. The company plans to develop a network of more than 450 NGV stations in Europe and 600 in Asia by 2025. TotalEnergies is also partnering with Clean Energy to develop production, supply and use of renewable natural gas for road transport across the United States. In 2017, TotalEnergies acquired Dutch company Pitpoint, Europe's third largest supplier of fuel for natural gas vehicles. It was fully integrated into the organisation last year and today operates as TotalEnergies' dedicated competence centre, responsible for the rollout of renewable gas, natural gas and hydrogen gas for mobility plus small-scale LNG worldwide. As we've just heard, natural gas and LNG can support the uptake of renewable energies. However, globally, other energy sources are being invested in to enable us to reduce carbon emissions even further. Reporter Emmeline Nsingi-Nkosi has been looking into one which transforms organic waste into energy.
When it comes to biogas, the potential is significant. Made from agri-waste products, when burnt, biogas produces heat and power, and when purified into biomethane, it fulfills all natural gas uses: commercial, industrial, and mobility. Biogas was first used by the Assyrians to heat bathwater in 900 BC. 3,000 years on, thanks to technology, it's starting to get the recognition it deserves. Biogas is produced by the fermentation of agricultural residues, manure, and even kitchen waste. And given that a third of the food produced for human consumption globally, about 1.6 billion tons per year, is lost or wasted, turning this into renewable fuel seems like a real win-win scenario. In fact, biogas could help reduce global climate change emissions by 20%. It could become a global sustainable industry worth over $1 trillion and has the potential to create millions of jobs, many in rural areas. To fully grasp the biogas opportunities, I went to speak with Olivier Guarini, Vice President of Biogas Division within TotalEnergies. So, Olivier, how big is the opportunity for biogas globally?
The customers for biogas are the customers for natural gas. For Europe, in terms of figures, we have a potential around 1,000 terawatt-hour per year. Globally, it's I would like to say 1/3 of natural gas consumption. In US, it's quite comparable. It's much more in Asia. For example, in India, a great movement to reduce the particle pollution in the big cities in India. So the government is trying to promote gas vehicle, gas buses, and with that, you have also the opportunity to put biogas into the natural gas solution. Not only for developing countries, it's for every country that is using gas today in terms of solution.
What is the role of biogas in helping us to decarbonize and achieve carbon neutrality by 2050?
We can do biogas everywhere. We only have to get back the waste and after build some plants to transform it and to valorize the biomethane. And also we are using all the infrastructure of natural gas. When we inject biomethane into the gas grid, it's fully transparent for the users, but we have the benefits of the existing infrastructure.
Looking to the future, TotalEnergies' plans for biogas energy generation are set to grow. Its investment in France's Forage Biogas is one of the levers for TotalEnergies to reach its net zero goals. To better understand the processes involved, Albert Michael Stanfeld, Director of Operations at Forage Biogas, took us on a tour of one of their facilities.
Forage Biogas is produced with organic waste from farming and food industry. There is no storage at a high pressure on the plant. We are going to grind this waste, to mix it, heat it to 70 degrees in order to be pasteurized before we keep it during 45 days in the digester. We need 3 conditions to make our production: no oxygen, a well-mixed biomass, and a temperature of 40 degrees. After 45 days, we have 2 products: the biogas that we are going to purify to produce biomethane, the digester, which is a liquid organic fertilizer. Biomethane is directly injected in the public network. There was no gas in this area before we settled this plant, so now industries but also houses are able to be connected to the gas network. We also provide fertilizer to 75 farmers all around this plant. It can be transported thanks to the distribution network. Here in the Biopom area, it's about 10 little towns that could be provided with gas with this plant, which is the equivalent of 15,000 inhabitants. With all Fonroche Biogas in France now, it's 100,000 tons of CO2 that are avoided each year.
How will Fonroche Biogas influence the future biogas production for TotalEnergies?
We have now 7 assets in operation, so this is really biogas production plants. All of those plants are injecting biogas into the gas grid. They are decarbonizing, I think, close to 50% of the local needs of natural gas. And we are expecting to produce around 2 terawatt-hours per year of biomethane in the next 10 years.
Thank you very much, Olivier. So as you can see, the team at Fonroche Biogas are wasting no time to turn biogas into a fuel for the future. Back to you, Emma.
So, to our final gas set to help the world reach its carbon neutral goals, let's take a look at hydrogen. 90% of the visible universe is composed of hydrogen. But hydrogen gas was first artificially produced in 1766 by Henry Cavendish. In 1842, Welsh inventor Sir William Robert Grove developed the first fuel cell by combining hydrogen and oxygen. Fast forward to modern times, and hydrogen is still evolving as a clean fuel. And NASA is famously harnessing hydrogen to conduct its missions to Mars.
Depending on how it's processed, hydrogen produces no CO2 emissions when used as a fuel, and could be a game changer for the transport and travel industries. In Europe, Germany is leading the way. The growth of industrial company Sunfire signifies the potential for the market. Based near Dresden, Sunfire provides renewable hydrogen and renewable fuels, known as e-fuels. Its electrolyzers enable the creation of a renewable synthetic crude, which acts as a sustainable substitute for crude oil. Germany is pushing ahead at pace with the use of hydrogen fuels, and TotalEnergies is part of the expansion of this sector. It's a founding member of the joint venture H2 Mobility Deutschland, which is responsible for establishing a nationwide hydrogen infrastructure in Germany. H2 Mobility's ambition is to develop a European network of hydrogen fueling stations for trucks by 2025.
Well, I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Adamo Screnci, who's in Paris to discuss TotalEnergies' hydrogen projects. Hi, Adamo. So how is hydrogen being used now, and which market will drive growth in the future?
The hydrogen today is mainly used in the industrial application, like refinery, ammonia production, and it's a market of 70 million tons worldwide, globally. The new market that is being created to decarbonize the industry, like steel, refinery, and ammonia production, but as well as heavy-duty transportation, marine transportation, and later on aviation. We also need green chemicals, and hydrogen is the first building block for that. You know, I always say hydrogen is the best friend of renewable, and vice versa.
How does TotalEnergies intend to position itself then in the hydrogen chain?
We are one of the early movers in the hydrogen filling station in Germany in 2002. We implemented 83 filling stations in that country, and we are starting to implement in other countries. And also, as a flagship project, we started the filling station, hydrogen filling station in Le Mans in France. The Massilia project with our partners, ENGIE, is dedicated to produce 5 tons of green hydrogen per day to feed our biorefinery located close to La Mède. We are partnering with ENGIE because this is today the biggest electrolyzer and green hydrogen production in France, but it's also a great opportunity to learn together.
Now, hydrogen is often talked about as the hottest buzzword in energy, and there's indeed some hype and political push. But what do you think are the real drivers for the real market to come?
To create a mass market, we need to invest in large projects and to duplicate and replicate these projects. Similarly to what has been done for renewable. Regulation, integration mandate, minimum quantity of renewable that you have to put in your feedstock or your plant. I've been starting just myself hydrogen in 1988. It was 32 years ago. I see the speed is really exponential now. It's growing everywhere and we are all committed. All the industries like TotalEnergies also are committed to a better future and less carbon in the future.
Adamo, thank you so much for your time. TotalEnergies Carbon Neutrality Ventures, which finds, funds and fosters companies in the renewable space, has made a significant investment in hydrogen for mobility. Hyzon Motors is a global supplier of hydrogen fuel cell-powered commercial vehicles, including heavy-duty trucks, buses and coaches, making way for a more sustainable mobility future.
In our view, there is a great opportunity for hydrogen to assist governments and corporations decarbonising their activities, and Hyzon Motors is here to accelerate the rate at which heavy vehicles transition from diesel to zero-emission fuel. So a fuel cell electric truck is an electric truck using hydrogen to deliver long range and also the kind of operating characteristics that fleet operators are accustomed to. Because a fuel cell truck is more like a diesel truck in architecture. The power and the performance of the vehicle are determined by the fuel cell system itself and the electric drive, and the driving range are determined by how much fuel you have on board.
The success of partnerships such as this one between Hyzon Motors and TotalEnergies will help accelerate the decarbonisation of transport as we work towards a carbon-neutral future.
That is all that we've got time for. As we've seen, many different gas solutions, be it natural gas, LNG, biogas or hydrogen, all have significant roles to play when it comes to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. If you'd like to find out more, visit roadstocarbonneutral.com. Thanks for watching and goodbye.
Roads to Carbon Neutral, presented by TotalEnergies.